Bam! Right there. How's it going, guys? Token Vaping here. So today's review is actually on something that I've been hearing a lot about. And again, I know I'm behind the times when it comes to, devices and tanks and RDAs, things like that. Unfortunately, I do purchase all of my own, so it does take me a little bit of time since I can't afford every one that I want. But it does let me be a little bit pickier about what I do get to ensure that I don't just keep buying a bunch of stuff and then I'm not happy with most of it. There are a lot of times that you see people who have shelves and shelves of multiple things, and it looks like they sit there, and even they say that they're not fans of it, or they don't. It's not something that they enjoy, and it just kind of then seems to become a waste. So I do apologize. I do like to do reviews other than juice reviews as well, but again, it does take a little bit to acquire the funds to get everything. However, I am actually really wanting to do this one. This will be a short little one because there are a bunch of videos already out there, so it's not something I'm superly going to be doing an in-depth thing, so to speak, but I did want to do one of my own just to kind of give my everyday, everyman type of opinion on it. But it is on the Aspire Cleito 120. Check that out. And it is a beefy tank. I've tried the original Aspire Cleito. I don't have one myself, but it was, from what I remember and from what I've been told, it was a solid tank. Great flavor, great cloud production. There were two coils available for it, one maxed at 70 watts, one maxed at 60 watts. So, if you don't vape higher than that, it's still a really rock solid tank. Definitely works well for, your normal everyday use. This one, and you can definitely tell the size difference if you own an original Cleito. This is 58 millimeters tall from the bottom. From the bottom of the post to the very top of this Delrin tip. This black cap itself is 15 millimeters high itself. It is a 25 millimeter tank. So it definitely is beefy, but as you can tell, it is a very large tank. It is a 4 milliliter tank capacity, so it will hold 4 milliliters of juice. Now, there are a couple of things I do need to get to. As you can tell, I already have juice in this. I've been using this for 2 days solid, and I'm not a huge tank person. Once I switched over to RDAs and RDTAs, I really haven't used a whole lot of tanks, but I've heard a lot about this and just been looking for something just simple, clear, convenience-wise, just for little trips here and there. This is their coil. Now, it does have the same chimney effect style as the original Cleito tank, but it is definitely a lot wider and a lot beefier and a lot more cotton and coil wire. Now, the really cool thing about this one, this is a 0.16. They do say its optimum range is between 100 to 120 watts, but I'll get to that in 1 second. If you can see down in there, you see those jagged teeth. This is something that I have not seen in a whole lot of tanks to begin with. This is something that Aspire specifically has done, but those teeth prevent spitback. That's what they're designed for. That's why they're in there. Now, it does definitely do what it's supposed to do because, like I said, I've been using this tank for a straight 2 days. I have not gotten a single spitback problem at all, ever. Not one. And I've been using this pretty heavy. So, definitely big props for that. It does work. It does do what it's supposed to do. Great innovative design right there. And that just looks kind of menacing anyway. So it has the really large wicking holes for juice flow. And I'll be honest with you, I wick this the same as I would any other coil. I put a couple of drops down the center. I'm not a huge fan of doing that just because I have flooded some coils before. But I do fill up the side holes a couple of times each time, and I pop this in. And it didn't take very long for a coil this size to wick up, and that was actually really impressive. But in the box basically still looks like the original Cleito. It's just bigger, but you get the extra coil. There's one pre-installed in the tank. You do get a spare Pyrex glass tube, which is actually a bit thicker than the original Cleito from what I'm told. Plus you get a really cool vape band that says Aspire, and it also says #FightToVape. So yes, there are still fights going on with the different vape advocacies and the FDA. So if you've not done your part, please do so. It's definitely imperative. but the vape pen is really nice. Now, the other cool thing about this tank is that there are two ways to fill this, because there are people that still prefer the Aspire Cleito way, where you literally took the entire cap off and then you just fill up, because there's no wall or anything there. You just fill directly into the tank itself. The other option that they do is, if you can just take the top part off, just the top cap, and then you basically have a normal fill port. Now, it is just on the one side, and for some people that bothers them, they prefer one on each side to make it easier. But I've not had a problem at all using a unicorn bottle to fill that. It has a very nice beefy rubber stopper gasket that fits in top of here. Now, some people have had trouble taking this top cap off. Now, what I've noticed is if you take it and you just try to twist it off by itself, because it is the same size as the second part of the cap, it does make it really hard. If you push down on it just a bit and then turn, it basically will unscrew quite easily. And then again, you just take the second part off. If you take it all off in one shot, it is like the original Cleito, where you can literally fill in all the way around, because it's just wide open on the bottom. Now, the one downside to this so far that well, there's two downsides in my opinion, but the one downside specifically is that it is a much wider chuff cap tip, so it is not interchangeable like the original Cleito, where you could just pop their cap off and you could fit your own custom tip on there. There is that option. The other one I'll get to here as I start vaping this really quickly. There are 3 nice sized airflow holes, and this collar does turn pretty easily, but there is a slight bit of catch to it, so that it doesn't just keep revolving or spin easily, so it doesn't mess up your airflow. But in a nutshell, that's pretty much the whole thing. You have your base, the coil, your glass tube, and then the 2-part cap. So there's 5 pieces in this, where the original Cleito there was 4. Really simple, basic setup on it. Simple to take apart, to clean, and everything else like that, especially when you're changing out a coil. Now, I'm using this on the iJoy Lux right now, just because it's a beefier mod. The batteries are bigger, obviously, so it has a bit more power in this. The other 2 downsides to this, if there are any cons specifically to this tank, is mainly one, I apologize, I have my window open, so there's a glare that keeps popping in and I keep looking at it. I have it. My apologies for that. Because it is a bigger tank, and because the coils are so much beefier, this does drink juice. There's a lot of reviewers out there that say that it actually drinks juice a bit faster than like the TFV8. I don't have a TFE12 to compare it to with that. The TFE8, I'll have to do a side-by-side. Maybe I'll do an update video on that just to see if there is a difference. But because you have such a massive beefier coil, you have to kind of expect that. I think when I first juiced the coil and filled this tank up for the very first time, I let it sit, and I think it actually drained, it looked like it drained almost half the tank just on the wicking of it. So it does take a lot of juice. However, you know, I mean, again, you're going to have to expect that when you're using a coil that's that much bigger. Also, because of the bigger coil, because it does go up to 120 watts, it is going to drain your batteries a bit faster if you're used to using like the original Aspire Cleito or other smaller coiled tanks like this nature. So, I mean, it's a give or take. It just depends on what you want to do. However, if you don't mind things like that, which I really don't, honestly, the benefits to this tank is going to be huge flavor, great clouds, and this is just off of a tank. I mean, a lot of people will compare tanks to RDAs and say obviously the flavor and the cloud production off of RDAs are going to be so much better. This tank, it makes it a really hard argument to justify for sure 100%. Now, there are a lot of people out there that I've talked to that have said, because this says the optimum range is 100 to 120 watts, do not go under 100 watts. I don't normally vape that high to begin with. I vape over 70 watts, so the Aspire Cleito, the normal version, really doesn't work for me a whole lot because I don't want to go that low. But if I go too much higher, it's going to burn the coil out faster. I've been vaping this tank at between 80 to 85 watts since I started, and I've not had a single issue with it. I have not had any leaking issues with it. I've left it filled up overnight. I've left the airflow holes open. I've not had any leaking issues. I've not had any vaping problems, no dry hits, no spit back, no nothing. So me personally, if somebody asked me, I would say you could go below 100 watts. I would not go below, 75, 80. I might even bump mine up to 85, 90 on a normal basis. But you can go under 100 without it causing a huge problem. If I do encounter anything major with this, I will make sure to update the comment box just to make sure that people do know that. But for me, myself, at 80 watts, this thing has not given me any issues. Now, the other thing about this tank on their website at aspirecigs.com, it does say, aspireesig.com, sorry. It does say that it easily will vape 160 watts or more. I don't vape that high at all. I will be honest though, most of the other reviewers that I've watched, I've talked to, I've listened to, they've all said about 160 watt range. They've started to experience some dry hits and things like that. I'm not going to mess with it because I don't vape that high ever. But I will do this in a couple of different shots just to show you the differences in this. But you will be impressed. If you've not already seen a video on this or have one yourself, you will be impressed by the clouds that come out of this for just being basically a simple tank. But I'm going to start it at 80 watts. And right now, I think the juice that I have in here is Immortality from the Philosopher's Stone. If you watch my posts at all or anything, you know that is one of my main go-to flavors. So I definitely wanted to try it in here. But this is at 80 watts. Airflow, all three are fully open because that's how I like to vape. I like having the airflow. Seriously, full flavor, because I know what this flavor is supposed to be like, and it's all flavor. No cotton, no nothing. Cloud-wise, yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say. You saw that. You cannot beat that out of a tank like this. The TFV8 with the multiple coils, the TFV12 with the multiple coils, obviously that's what they're designed for. But this basically is a single coil. Yes, it's bigger and beefier than normal ones, but for all layman's terms, it basically is a single coil. And that's at 80. So I'm going to take this up. I'm going to go to 90 watts right there. What can you say? That's freaking ridiculous. Flavor is still rock solid. There is no problem in flavor whatsoever. It's not even getting warm at all yet. It's still all amazing, in my opinion. I'm going to take this up to 90, and this is where it says it's supposed to, this is its recommended starting point. Its recommended starting range is 100 to 120, so that's at 100 watts. I mean, if you're looking for clouds, you're definitely going to get it with this. It's starting to get a slight bit warm on the throat. Tank is starting to heat up a little bit, but at 100 watts, that's about the breaking point for some devices and tanks and things like that. That's when it starts hitting in there. I have not done this yet, but I'm going to hit it at 120 just to see what it's like. But this is the top end of its optimum range of 100 to 120. Again, phenomenal clouds, great flavor. That one was a bit warmer than what I'm used to. Like I said, I don't normally vape that high, ever. I don't want to take it beyond that too much because if there is going to be other problems, I don't want to have issues with the tank since it's the only one I have. I might pick up another one and try a different flavor and go between the two at the different wattage settings to see how they hit, how they are. I may do a follow-up video with that. I definitely want to see how long the coils last. Like I said, I've been using this for a straight 2 days. I'm probably going to continue to use it, and I will see if it goes at least the 2 weeks, if not more. And if it does, it's a phenomenal buy. It's a phenomenal buy anyway if you do vape over 70 watts, if you are looking for clouds but you don't want to lose flavor or vice versa. Most shops, I bought this from a good buddy of mine. His name is John. He owns a shop called Torch. It's a local shop to me, but you know, it's reasonably priced. It's about, I don't like giving prices on videos. That's just me. but they are under $40. It's a great deal. It's definitely worth it if you like using tanks. I'm completely impressed with this tank. It was a very good investment for myself, being that I don't normally use them, but it definitely has made me rethink a few things about tanks. But definitely check it out. You can definitely check it out at AspireE6.com. I will put the link in the comment box as well. But other than that, Aspire, a phenomenal tank, great job. I might do a follow-up video on the Aspire, the Cleito EXO. I have heard a lot about that one as well, so I might want to try that one just to see how it compares to this. But beyond that, definitely check it out. Simplistic design, simple setup, phenomenal output, great flavor, great clouds, just overall a great buy. So definitely check it out. As always, guys, I'm Token Vaping. I'm here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Pinterest. Anything that I myself can do to help further enhance your vaping experience, that's the only reason why I do this. So definitely let me know if there's anything that I can do to help you out. To the best of my ability, I will do everything I can. But until next time, vape on, vape strong, and always truly love yourself.